Look at how cute these notepads are. They are perfect for gifts for coworkers, teachers, neighbors, anyone you want to give to. These notepads are fast to make, which make it perfect to mass produce for craft fairs. It looks like a store-bought one, doesn't it? But this is not the store-bought notepad that I decorated. Hi, I'm Sherls. In this video, I will show you how to make this notepad from scratch. You might ask, why make one from scratch when you can decorate a store-bought one? The answer is simple: customization. When you make the notepad from scratch, you can customize the pages and make it more cohesive with the cover. You can even personalize it for your recipient. To make this notepad, you need paper, thick cardboard or a chipboard, Tyvek or packing tape, thread, needle, and an awl for binding, clips or wooden clothespin, and basic crafting tool, scissors, glue, and bone folder. For my paper, I use the Times and Seasons kit from Rach and Bella Crafts. I use all of her latest autumn kit, the backgrounds, journal kit, and the vintage one. I printed 2 pages in a sheet because I want to make a small size notepad. In this tutorial, I will tell you the concept so you can make your own in any size. If you print 2 pages in one sheet, print one side without border and the other side with border. The side that you print with border will be printed slightly smaller than the side without border. So this side I printed without border and this one with border. When I put it side by side like this, you can clearly see that the one without border is slightly larger than the one with border. Then all you have to do is just cut your paper according to the side with border. This way, after you finish cutting, you don't have to flip your paper and then trim off the white edges. If you do not know how to change your printer setting to print with or without border, I have a tutorial for that. I will put it on the description box and I will also link it on the corner here. First, we are going to make the signatures. Fold the paper into half. Fold them individually for the best result. Then split them into several signatures. Do I need to split them into more than one signature? No. But remember, paper has thickness. When you put the paper into a signature, your edge won't be straight. Typically, a hardcover book will put 4 sheets of paper into one signature. There are a total 28 sheets of paper I printed for my notepad. I printed the same pages on both sides but in different order, so I have 2 of each design. When arranging the pages, I make sure that there are no repetitive designs in each signature. After playing around, I found that splitting them into 4 signatures will give me the best configuration. When splitting your paper, remember that the more papers there are in the signature, the more uneven the edge looks. Of course, you can trim it off after sewing the pages together. Next, we are going to mark 4 points with equal distance between the points on the spine. If you are mass making this, I highly suggest making a template. It will make the process faster. I cut a junk edge into the height of my pages, and then I reinforce around the middle with the packing tape, fold it, and then I mark my points. I mark around 3/8 of an inches from both edges, and then I split the distance in between to make equal distance to make my other 2. And what I need to do next is just line my template into the middle of my spine and use my pokey tool to poke the holes. I use a thin awl because the thread I'm using is a thin one. The reason is I want the finished notepad to look as close as possible to the store-bought one. If you look closely at the store-bought notepads or books, the signatures are sewn with a very thin thread. Once the signatures are ready, we can start binding them. As a general rule, cut the thread to paper height multiplied by the number of signatures. Start from the first signature, poke the needle through the first hole. Leave around 3 inches tail, and I use my clip to keep it in place, and then thread through the next hole. And we come back in through the next hole. And out. Now take your second signature, make sure it fits the same way, and we are going to open it up. I like to use a clip to keep my signature in place. It will also make my job easier. Align the fold of the signature with the previous one. We want to keep it as tight as possible so there will be less gap in your signatures, like this. And poke this needle through the hole in the second signature that align with it, which is this hole, and then out the next one. Poke this needle through the hole in the first signature that align with it. Poke it in, and we are coming out here, and then this will go to the hole aligned with it in the second signature. And then out the next hole, and like this. Now we are going to tie a knot of the tail of the thread with the thread. I'm going to tie it really tight. Now we are done with the first signature, so I'm going to clip it, and we are taking the third signature. Get this facing up, so the next signature I need to make sure it's also facing the correct way. And I'm aligning the fourth line of the third signature with the previous one, and then I'm going to clip it. So this is the half of the second signature, the last second half of the first signature, and this is the first half of the third signature. I'm going to clip it like this, and now this needle needs to go through the aligned hole of the third signature and out the next one, and this needs to go through the second signature hole aligned with it. Go to the third signature and out the last hole of the third signature. Then I'm going to pull it tightly, and we want this third signature to make connection with the previous signature, so we are going to put the needle in between the first and second signature in this thread, just under it. Yeah, the clip is not going to make threading the needle the thread easily, but it will make the signature to stay in place, and I don't really mind that because I would rather my signature stay in place and work with the needle. And I'm put this through the loop just to make a knot, tie it really tightly. And then the last signature, making sure it fits the correct way. The direction, yep, it's correct. Now moving this clip again. You don't have to use the clip, but I like to use clip just so it'll be easier for me to flip in between signatures, because you see here that we are threading the needle through between signatures as well. So like this, poke the needle through the aligned holes of the last signature, and then out the next one, and back in to the third signature like this. And we are going to come out of the next one and back in to the fourth signature. Out on the last hole. Again, we are going to put the needle, thread it under the thread between previous two signatures, make a loop. So this is not needed actually. Making a loop, and then put the needle again through that loop to make a knot, just to bind the last signature to the previous one. And the last signature is missing this middle thread in the center of the signature, so I'm going back to the previous signature of the last signature and finish it like this. Then I'm just going to put this needle under the thread in between this signature and third signature, make a loop and put it back in, and do it one more time to finish the knot. And that's it. This is the trickiest part of this notebook or making, but after you make your first or your second, it will become much more smoother. I will show you one more time how I tie the signature together into a text block without any explanation. So I hope it will make it is easier for you to see how to do this. text blocks are ready. In the hardcover book binding, you will put a generous amount of glue on the spine and then cover it with cheesecloth or a thin cloth. And then you will let it dry for a couple hours or overnight. But I don't want to wait that long. I want this project to be fast, to mass produce, either for gifts or craft fair. And I found that by dabbing glue in Pitin's signature is enough to serve a purpose of hiding the thread in Pitin's signatures. If you don't mind this gap, then you can skip this, but I suggest to put the glue also to protect the thread in between the signatures, just in case you cut it or I don't know, some accident happened and it came apart maybe. So what I did, and I tested that it worked, just put a glue near the spine with my fine tip glue applicator and just put the book together like this. Then go to the next signature. Well, this one I already bind it, and the last one. This one I already glued it previously and it's already dry, and you can see that you don't see the gap in between the signatures. And now I'm just going to let it dry, and while it's drying I'm going to work on the cover. And before I forget, did you notice this? The edge is not aligned. Because I have 7 sheets of paper in a signature, you have this jagged look of the signature. Again, it doesn't bother me. If it bothers you, you can take your ruler and your crafting knife and then trim it off. Measure the width and the height of the text blocks and add 2 milliliters or 1/8 of inches for the overhang. My text blocks measure 3 5/8 inches by 5 1/4 inches. So I cut my cover 3 3/4 by 5 3/8. Use a thick cardboard or chipboard for the cover. If you only have thin cookie box or cereal box, glue a couple of them together to make it thicker. Now, measure the thickness of the text blocks and the covers, the front and back cover. I like to use my caliper to do this, but if you don't have it, you can use your ruler like this. Again, add 2 milliliters or 1/8 of inches. And my spine, I already cut it and measure it. I only need a 3/8 of inches. In my opinion, 2 milliliters or 1/8 of inches is a good overhang. I made one with a 1/4 of inches overhang, and I don't like it as much as the 1/8 of inches overhang. You can see here the spine is way bigger, and this one snuck perfectly, and that's why I use 1/8 of inches. But if you like a larger overhang, then feel free to do so. Do what makes your heart happy. Cut your Tyvek at least 1.5 inches wider than the spine and slightly taller than the cover. Or if you are using packing tape, make sure that it is wider than your spine. Then cut it at least as tall as your cover. I'm going to use my Tyvek because that's what I like to use. And I've been using Tyvek for a long time since I'm making scrapbook album. I like using it to reinforce my spine. It's super useful because when you flip open and close your cover, eventually it will tear, and the Tyvek helps to make sure that it won't tear easily. And I like to use my L ruler for the next step. If you don't have it, you can just put your ruler to help making sure that your cover is perfectly aligned. And we are going to glue this cover on the Tyvek, leaving a 1/4 inch gap between the spine and the cover. I happen to have this ice cream stick that's around 1.25 inches wide, and that's what I'm going to use. If you don't have it, you can just use your ruler to make sure that you keep the gap in between the spine and the cover. So I already put the spine where I need it to be, and I'm going to apply adhesive on this cover and the spine on the Tyvek. Of course, if you are using packing tape, you don't have to do this because your packing tape already have adhesive on it. Again, I'm going to use my ice cream stick just to make sure that it is aligned. And if you're mass making this and you don't have ice cream stick, you can consider cutting a cardboard 1/4 inch wide just to help you on this process, so it'll be much faster for the mass producing. Then I'm using my adhesive to fold this excess Tyvek in. If you cut your Tyvek perfectly the same height as your cover, then you don't have to do this step. And then you want to cut a piece of paper at least 1 inch wider and 1 inch taller than the cover length and height. I already cut mine, and I'm going to make sure that this is facing the correct direction. And I'm going to use my glue stick to apply adhesive across it. I like to use glue stick for my wider area and then use my liquid adhesive with a fine tip for the edges. I'm going to flip this and burnish it really well. I have my big spatula here that I like to use for this. Take your time burnishing the cover because we want to make sure that it is properly adhered, and it will make the final look more professional. Then cut the corner of your paper, the cover. Don't cut it directly like this. We want a little bit gap between the cardboard or chipboard and the cut. Don't throw away this triangle. You can use this to add more accent on your masterboard, or you can also use it to make a pinwheel like this. I have a tutorial making that pinwheel, and I will put it in the description box. I like to clean my paper before I fold it back into the cover by pressing it against my table and fold it like so. This is extremely useful, especially when you are using a thick paper like a cardstock. Training your paper will make sure that your paper will fold nicely and it doesn't have those maybe like an ugly crease. I like to use my bone folder to press this corner in, so I will have a crisper fold. I cut a piece of paper like 1 inch or 1/2 inches wider than my spine plus the spacer here, this one, and the height of my cover. And I'm going to use this piece of paper to cover the spine. Just making sure that the orientation is correct. Back using my liquid adhesive to make sure that I cover the edges well. And try to put it around the middle. It doesn't have to be perfectly in the center, but try to get as close as possible to the center. Then, using your bone folder, we are going to shape this spine into the shape of the cardboard. Just pressing it like this. I press my bone folder and the paper against the thickness of the cover and burnish it well. So do this as quick as possible you can before your glue completely dries. This will make sure that you don't get the bulky look of your cover joint. And do the same thing on the other side as well. Try to find my spacer here. Now my cover looks really nice and it's almost done. And now grab the text block that we worked earlier, apply adhesive on the last page of the text block. I like to use my glue stick for this because it doesn't dry as fast as my liquid adhesive and it will give me time to adjust the position of the paper. So we are going to align this with this edge. So on the spine, like this and this way. And I'm going to make sure that it is center, top and bottom. Just to make sure that it is aligned. I'm going to burnish it well. Start from the center, going outward. And if your edges doesn't glue properly like the one I have here, which is understandable because I just put my glue stick roughly, just go back with the fine tip liquid adhesive to glue it better. And burnish it again. I also miss a little bit spot here. We do not want to glue this text block into the spacer here, because this spacer is the one that will help our book to open flat in the middle. See, like I don't have any glue adhere between the text block and the spacer. So be careful about that. And we are going to apply adhesive again on the first page of the signature. Oops, the first page of the text block. And to make sure properly well. This. So we want the spine of the text block to touch the spine of the cover. And then I'm going to open it around the middle of my text block just to make sure that it will open nicely. Yep. It might run off a little bit, but that's where you need to use your glue stick so you can adjust it. As see, this is like my fourth book, so I'm still not very good on this. And I only need to make 5 because I'm making this for a gift. But after making it like more times, I believe it will become like more a natural process for me. And here, Just going to burnish it well and try to straighten it. And see, my book now, the hardcover book is open nicely and it's completely adhered. I just need to go back to glue a little bit of this side because I played a little bit too much with it, and I make sure not to put adhesive on the spacer. I do not know the correct term for the gap between the spine and the cover. I just call it spacer. And the other side as well. And pretty much it. And it's done. And all you have to do next is just decorate the cover, and it's pretty much done. You have your notepad, hardcover notepad. It's open very nicely. It's which you can customize the pages, and it's open flat. I have with me here the fussy cut from the kit. Some I printed 2 pages in a sheet, and some I printed full size. And I also have this fabric sample that I already cut, which I'm going to use it for decorating the cover. In the kit there is also this pocket, and frankly I have a hard time folding it properly. So what I did, I used my L ruler to make sure that I fold it like in a 90-degree angle. I do not know the perfect way to like fold it, but this is the one that works for me. And if you have a better way to fold this pocket, do please share it with me. And I think it's still a little bit crooked. I just want to make sure that it is perfectly 90-degree angle. Yep, it's nice. Just going to fold it like this. And I'm going to glue this pocket inside the front cover. Like this. And I also like to put a little bit tape on this flap, just because I want to make sure that my tag or whatever I put won't get caught in the gap between the flap and the cover, so it will slide really nicely. Again, this is the habit that I gained from making a lot of scrapbook album, and this is it. And I'm going to put this tag inside it, and later I'm going to decorate this tag, put the pulley thingy. And on the back cover I like to use this tag, which I already packed in a thicker, like I think the one that I used was the butter box, and I'm going to use this as a tuck spot on the back cover like so. And I'm going to put this journal card on it, and that's it. This cute notebook is done. The only part that's tricky is binding the signature and glue the text block into the cover. But after making it a couple times, it will become much smoother for you. And you can even make this in the assembly line process. You cut the paper, all the paper, and then you fold all of them, and then you bind them. It will just very easy. It's not going to take forever. Trust me. And this will make a very cute gift for my daughter's teacher, which is what I'm planning to do for this. But you can also make this for craft fair. And if your craft fair is like a religious theme, like in a church, you can even make the pages using, I don't know, like a prayer journal or something like that. And you will make it very, very cute craft fair item. And the reason I'm not just making a full journal is not everyone knows what is a junk journal with a lot of pocket and tuck spot and all of those stuff, but everyone knows what is a journal like this. It's just a journal where they can write something on it, and there is pocket here where they can put anything they want. So that's it. Thank you for watching, everyone. Happy crafting. Bye.